Hello and welcome to the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. I'm Ginny Robertson, founder of the On Purpose Women Global Community and Magazine, and today we're exploring what becomes possible when a woman remembers that her story holds wisdom, healing, and purpose, and learns to claim it as her own. My guest is soul story mentor Mary E. Knippel, a woman who has dedicated her life to helping others uncover the wisdom, purpose, and power already living inside their stories. Mary guides women from silence to self-trust, from doubt to clarity, and from my story doesn't matter to my story is my strength. Our conversation today, Own Your Soul Story, invites you to look at your life through a gentler, more truthful lens. We're going to explore how to recognize and claim your soul story, release old beliefs, reframe challenges, trust synchronicity, find your voice, and understand how sharing your story becomes a healing act for yourself and others. At least we think we're going to get to all those. I'm not sure. But Mary, it'll be a great conversation anyway. Welcome. I'm really glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, Jenny.
Before we dive in, I want to tell our viewers a little more about you. Mary E. Knippel is an inspiring author, speaker, and soul story mentor dedicated to helping writers transform life experiences into powerful stories. A three-time breast cancer thriver, she understands the healing power of words. With 40 years as a journalist, she guides writers to share messages of hope and inspiration. You can find out more about Mary at maryeeknippel.com, and that link is also in the text of this video. So let's begin with the heart of your work, and that is, what is a woman's soul story, and why is it so important for her to recognize and claim it?
I think the heart of it is I came up with a little acronym for soul that it's about yourself, and it's owning the wisdom of your life experiences and to understand what you coped with and
Mm,
overcome to become who you are, and that you love yourself and what you've learned from those life experiences. So that often becomes your why, your purpose, your passion for what you do and how you show up in the world.
And why does it matter that a woman recognizes and claims it? Or what happens if she doesn't?
What happens if she doesn't? I mean, so often we are the supporting cast in everybody else's life,
Mm,
that we just kind of go off into the background and think that, well, we don't have a big enough story, that what happens to us really doesn't matter. And in fact, what we have coped with could offer hope to somebody else. And
mm.
when we're vocal with it, when we show them it's possible for them because we did it, that's what it means to own your story and to be that beacon for somebody else.
Yeah. How many times have we read a book? I know for me personally, in fact, I just saw popped up I'm on Maria Shriver's
Uh,
email list, and I haven't read it yet, but there's a subject line that says, the book that changed my life. Had
mhm.
I not read this book, and then I don't know what the rest of it said because I didn't open it yet, but yeah, it's almost becomes like a job, not a job, but a calling, right? To tell our soul story so that we're telling it for ourselves,
Yeah,
but we
well,
don't know.
that's what I mean about owning your
Yeah,
story, because first it's that you embody it and embrace it, and then you have
yeah,
the confidence to say, this is the what I think, and this is what I did.
yeah. I really love that. What opens up for a woman when she begins to see her life through this lens, this life that she may have been saying, I don't have a story, or it's not important enough? What have you seen happen?
Oh, well, one of the gals that had the privilege of knowing for several years, and when we first met, she didn't think that she had a story, and now she's blossomed and evolved into being an author and being an advocate for other women to tell their story, because she's been telling her story. And it's and she's seeing that she can make a difference. And that's what happens. The self-confidence and just to be able to say, I matter and I make a difference by being who I am.
It's got a lot of dimensions to it. It's not just about the writing of the story at all. It never is just about the writing of the story, is it?
And that's the starting point. That's when people say, I don't have a story and I wouldn't know where to start. That's what you have to do. You take
Yeah.
5 minutes and write in a journal because first you're getting it out of your body and onto the page and let it evolve.
Well, was there a moment in your life when you didn't think your story mattered?
Oh, well, I started keeping a journal when I was 10, 11, writing about who was cute on TV last night. I didn't know what I was going to do with all of this, but I knew that writing was important to me. The answers for me were at the end of a pen.
Mm.
And after um, I had gone through my second breast cancer, it was like, oh, I was compelled to share how I used writing as a catalyst, a tool in my healing journey. And so it was important to publish my my essays that became my first my first memoir, The Secret Artist, talking about what I did for myself as my prescription for me to heal, and
Mhm.
how other women could, they didn't have to be suffering from breast cancer, but they had something in their life that they could take those writing prompts to apply it to their life and start writing their story.
I remember you've spoken for the On Purpose Women Global Community a number of times, and you've mentioned that when you decided to go into journalism, you got no support, or you wanted to go into journalism, you got no support from that, from like family and so forth, because, we're near the same age, and women back then, they didn't do big things. They either, they went to teaching school, teaching college, or nursing, or I mean, those are big things. Don't get me wrong there, but journalism, and nobody makes money being a journalist, right? That's what you were told?
Well, being a
Oh,
writer, I mean,
being a writer, that's
sure,
right.
and
Yeah.
and it was a big stretch for me to even, you know, go to get accepted in the School of Journalism, because I was, by that time I was a 30-year-old woman. So here I was
Mhm.
going to school full time, wanting to be in the School of Journalism, and I had to, present my the credits and say, yeah, I do want to go to school full time. And when I was accepted into the School of Journalism, but my degree is in mass communication, because my advisor was a retired newspaper editor who thought, oh, she's a bored housewife. She'll be gone in a, quarter. And that he didn't think I could cut it doing the classes, the reporting and all of that were required for the journalism track. However, the reporting, the interviews are what lights me up, being able
Mhm.
to ask people questions and not to follow a script or anything that his AI generated, as far as these are the facts, these are the facts, and I get to the facts. However, I get to the story under the story, and people have more than once, probably, every other time I've talked to somebody, they will say, you ask questions that nobody's ever asked me before. And the follow up is, I've never talked about this before. And that always gave me goosebumps, because that meant that we were talking about something that they wanted to talk about. Nobody gave them an opening, nobody gave them a safe place. And
Yeah.
I did. I represented that.
And
And
that
that's what I
really
do.
that's really confirmed that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
And you went from that to doing what you're doing now, which is the same thing.
Yes.
You're getting women to open up and tell stories that they've never told. Some of them never told anyone, right?
That they haven't told anyone. And it
Yeah.
may be that it's not going to be for public consumption.
Right.
My point is that it's for your own well-being, that you know it and own it.
Mhm. And there can be so much healing in that. And also thinking that it probably won't, or having the option to say, I'll publish this if I want to, then you're not restricted in what you write about.
No,
Because I'm
no.
sure there's a lot of women who are afraid of disrupting the family order or just causing chaos or getting blamed or all of that stuff that would shut them down. Yet when they know, I think it's, yeah, I know it's Laura DeFranco, who we both know, who says that she writes to feng shui her soul, kind of get all that stuff out of
Mhm.
there
Yeah,
and then
the
decide what you're going
freedom
to do with it. Yeah,
to
yeah.
express what your soul wants you to know.
Big stuff. It's really so important because that's when the healing can start. Because when a woman puts things down on paper, she goes, this was real.
Hmm.
This, no matter what anybody else said, this was real and this happened. And now what? What am I going
Yeah,
to do with this? Right? Yeah.
acknowledging her truth.
Hmm. Well, you say that our hardest chapters often hold our deepest wisdom. How do you guide women to reframe challenges, much like you did? I mean, a lot of, I know women write books, men write books when they're faced with a challenge, but it's not always easy and it's not always supported. And when you've lived through some pain, how do you, and a lot of people don't want to dig into that pain either. How do you reframe, or do you reframe the challenges in a way that a woman can actually get excited about revisiting all of that? Did that question make sense? I kind of went around the
Yes,
bend on
yes, yes.
it.
So what I've come to um, recognize and know that is the foundation of how I show up and work with people, and when I'm writing myself, is to first acknowledge, discover, or claim whatever the life experience that's going to be the one that we're talking about right here. And for example, the second time I was diagnosed, and it was like, okay, I have to do more than just keep writing in my journal. I need to
Mm,
get I'm a writer who needs to get this out into the world to make a difference, to have an impact. And so, and you and I both know that I get emotional about this. And
yeah.
and then rewriting the story is just say, okay, this is how I coped. This is the way I can offer hope to somebody else, so that I rewrote my story. And you recognize the synchronicity and choosing joy. It's like nothing happens randomly. We don't always recognize how this happened so that this could happen. We're in the moment and we don't see all of the things that led up to it and the joy that comes afterwards. So it's being able to take the small steps and hone in to see that brilliance, and then be in be in the bliss of this is my present moment and what's possible, what could come next when I embrace this.
Now, you were in the middle of your treatment when you started writing these,
Oh
or
no, this was a pros I mean, I've been keeping a journal since I was
yeah, so this was just a
young. So
continuation of the
so
journals then.
it was accumulation of, okay, I wrote about this, and now here it is here. I mean, because there was some you look at things that happen in your life and you go, was that real? Because on my first surgery, they had forgotten to leave a clip after the mammogram. And so I had to have another mammogram on the day of my surgery. And I went from one building to the next, and they were wheeling me through the parking lot. And I'm like, I'm on a gurney. I'm going to another building, and we're dodging. And I was thinking, I feel like I'm in something out of the Keystone Cops. This just feels so wild. And so
Yeah.
it's recognizing, you know, this is life. This is my life, and there's it's not random, and this really happened to me, and we can laugh at it afterwards but and the moment that you're in it, it's just like, this is the day I was having surgery. So
Yeah.
it because I was able to go back to my journal and look at the excerpts, and it's like, okay, I kept circling around this incident. Okay, let's develop that incident into this essay so that people can experience it with me.
Yeah. And how you coped with it. And then in retrospect, you're laughing about it
Yeah.
now, right? Because it like you say, it was, are you on, if you're, yeah, you're old enough to remember candid camera, right? It's like,
Um,
are they
yeah.
doing that to you, right? You talk about nothing is random. So let's talk about synchronicity then,
Mm,
because you talk about how um for us to trust the synchronicity as part of our journey. How does that show up in soul stories? And how can women learn to recognize those signs in their own lives that this isn't random? This is, you know, and sometimes we don't see it until we're way past it. We can look back and go, oh, connect the dots now.
yeah.
But is
Yeah.
there a way to kind of start to pay more attention beforehand, to start to notice and be more observant and present to it? You have
Well,
any
there's
tips for that?
also our intuition that women are just more intuitive, and we don't give ourselves credit for that. Because there's this sixth sense that will go, well, should I really do that? And
Mhm.
we talk ourselves out of things that, oh, this could have been wonderful, but I was scared. I Somebody else would not have appreciated it. They wouldn't have approved of it. And so the synchronicity is us paying attention to, what do I want? And is the universe giving me little nudges, our intuition giving us little nudges of, it's like, okay, maybe you're taking a walk and you see, some people believe that if you see a bird, a robin or something, sign of spring, that that's that's giving you a message, that's telling you it's okay. Some people, if they believe in, if you see feathers somewhere, that means that you're getting a sign that you're on the right path. My way of thinking is that you have a dream and you don't give up, and you get, maybe you're told writing isn't practical. However, you get a 1 year secretarial certificate, and you're in there editing engineer speak so that it's English for the common knowledge in the manuals that we're printing. So you recognize that this path didn't work for me. However, here I am over here doing what I wanted to do, and
Mhm.
I persevered so that now I'm out here getting paid to write, having people come to me and say, help me write what I want to write. I'm living my dream.
Well, um, we talked a little bit before about women thinking that they don't have a story. And how many women who actually believe they have a story just silence themselves, though, if they just silence themselves. What are some of the ways that you see women quiet their voices, and how do you support them in reconnecting with that voice that's truly theirs? Because, we had that voice as a little girl, didn't we?
Oh,
She
yeah.
was there. She was
She
in
was
there.
feisty.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
spoke up. Yeah.
What happened to
She's
her?
still there
Yeah.
deep down. So anytime anybody says, I don't have a story, I'm not a writer, I wouldn't know what to say. I just say, do you ever write a note in birthday cards? Do you ever write notes on the calendar to remind you that this happened? I mean, a long time ago, I spoke to a mom's group, and they said, I never have time to write. And I said, how about you write something on the calendar every day? You think about, that it doesn't have to be long paragraphs. It's enough that it reminds you that this happened. That's
Mm.
journaling. And 5 minutes a day in a journal where you if you have an idea that someday I want to write a book, which someday is not a date on the calendar, but for this instance, I will say you want to write a book. So you set the timer and write in the journal, what does my book want me to know today? And then take dictation.
Mm.
Just let your hand move across the page. It's not saying, I have to know what the story is right now. It's that you are open to listening to what your soul wants you to know in this moment and show up on the page on a consistent basis, and you will get answers.
And you've seen that in action, haven't you?
I see that in action every day. We have Soul Story Sanctuary. I send out writing prompts, and sometimes the gals use them and sometimes they don't because it's up to them. And when they do use the prompt, it can take them in a totally different direction, but it's the spark that gets them started.
Let's say that a woman doesn't even think she's ready to write in a calendar or sit down and say, what's my book want me to know
Mhm.
today? What would be one step that she could take where she could begin to find her voice, to recover, I should say, recover her voice?
Recover her voice, that
Hmm.
she gives herself permission to have quiet time every day with a journal and a pen in her hand and asks the question, what does my heart want me to know? What did I dream about last night?
Mm,
This isn't a time for you to write your grocery list. This is a time for you to listen to what your heart wants you to know
yeah.
and go from there.
Because saying what's my book want me to know can add some pressure, can't it?
Yeah, it can be
For somebody,
intimidated. There
yeah,
are there are some gals who have that dream, and
yeah.
I'm saying give yourself permission to own that dream.
Hmm.
Give it give it an opportunity to become part of your vernacular and let it grow.
I think
Let-
it's great advice. Yeah, I like that. Uh, just I'm gonna say something probably quite brilliant. What was it? Uh, oh, Julia Cameron. I'm sure
Mhm.
you're familiar in the morning pages.
Mhm.
I think it was Sarah Bromrothnick's book, Simple Abundance. It also talked about morning pages. I think she did a daily, the daily thing. And I remember years ago sitting down with no aspirations to actually write, but I thought the morning pages would be interesting, and the frustration of actually having nothing to say at some point and you just have to keep going, I have nothing to say.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
writing down,
it's
I
a
have
stream
nothing
of
to say.
consciousness thing.
Uh,
And it's your conscious. It's your subconscious letting
hmm.
you know this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm feeling. And if the feelings are too big, getting them on the page makes it manageable.
Mm,
Makes it helps you know that I can do something different because here it is on the page. I can look at it, I can turn it around and say, what if? What if I thought this about it? What if instead of, we did that as because that's how we always did it. What if we did it this way? And open up to possibilities.
hmm. I think because the instructions were you have to do a page that, and I followed the instructions, so I didn't give up.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, I can't, I have nothing else to say. And I'm sure everything had just shut down. There was still stuff in there. But I just remember growing into that process. It's probably been 30 some years ago, kind of growing into that process and watching myself resist it and watching myself actually start to embrace it and then watching myself start to love it. So I imagine that's a lot of the time, not that maybe the exercises or anything, but that's how you work with your clients is that they could start out like so uncomfortable and you just support them in just doing the activity for activity's sake at first, just to
Well, and
get the
it's just like
muscle.
yeah, exactly. It's a muscle, just like when people want to get started lifting weights. You go in there, you're
Mhm.
not gonna grab the 50 pound and go, oh yeah, done. You're gonna start out with, five, two, I don't know. I don't lift weights. But the idea is you showing up on the page consistently and giving yourself permission is like, okay, I'll do this for 5 minutes. And more often than not, people have said, I wasn't done. I wasn't done because I'll do it when I'm speaking, I will give them a taste of what it would be like if you
Mhm.
showed up on the page and give them a prompt and they'll get them, grab a memory and they'll go, oh, it's time's up already because you are engaging with yourself. You are
Mhm.
learning, learning your another layer of who you are, something that you may have buried, something that may have been put away because you couldn't handle it then, but you can handle it now. You have support.
In those moments when you're talking, you're speaking, or giving women opportunities, do you often see this look of surprise that the time is up? Also, some of them started out thinking they had nothing to say. They weren't really going to write anything, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
okay, if you do nothing else, write the prompt down. And then all of a sudden they'll be going, oh, and sometimes I will ask if anybody wants to put their voice in the room, and they'll go, I was really surprised when I didn't think I was going to get anything, and I had the whole start of a blog. I had the whole start of an outline for the program that I want to do for my clients. So it's it's not that I'm giving these, oh, absolutely phenomenal prompts. It's what you do with it because it's you out of your memory, out of your creativity, which is something that no AI bot is going to do. You
Yeah,
cannot put that prompt into Chat GPT and get your experience out of it.
very true. And while you might not have given them this brilliant prompt, it probably was, you were still the one there doing it. And it must light you up when you get that response, right? When
Oh,
somebody
it
says,
does.
it's why you get up in the morning, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have a conversation with somebody in the grocery store, and it's like, "Oh, what do you do?" I'm a writer, and I help people write. You go, "Oh, I don't have a story." And it's like, "Oh yeah, well, how long have you lived here? What do you do? How many kids do you have? How many grandchildren do you have?" And they have right away they have stories, and so bringing it back to them, it's like, how does that make you feel?
Mm. I
Yeah.
just realized I didn't turn my light on. It's starting to get dark outside, and I'm starting to look a little dark. We don't have that much more to do. Thought I was looking a little off something there. Uh, let's talk a little bit about healing, about how sharing our story can be healing. How have you seen that happen? We touched on it a bit, but I'd like to go a little bit deeper with that. Maybe given a story of someone that, or yourself, you know.
No, it's because it's healing for yourself and it's the great connector because it's not
Mm,
about, oh, this is brilliant content. It's about people recognizing themselves in your story, people seeing what's possible for them because they recognize, oh, there's there's hope there,
mm,
there's a different way of approaching something. One of my clients, we were both actually in a co-author book together, and she wasn't sure, well, I don't know what to write about. She's expert in her field, but words, because she was, somebody who worked with numbers. You give her a column of numbers, just like that, but the words. And when we talked about her background and why numbers were really important to her was because she grew up in the grocery business. And it wasn't just what the price of beans was, it was what it represented, feeding the family, having the business grow. It wasn't just inventory, it was nourishing the soul and the body. And now she's not only working on, a blog series, she's working on programs to help her small business customers. And so it's seeing that confidence grow from, I already had this inside me. It's making the connection, but connection between the content and who's out there that we are here to impact.
Well, for a woman listening who feels that nudge, that whisper that it's time to explore her soul story, but she's scared or uncertain, what would you want her to know right now?
I want her to know that her story matters. There's somebody waiting, needing, longing for her story. And she's the only one who could tell it because she's the only one who knows it from the inside out. She knows what she did, how she coped, and what her wisdom from that life experience has taught her and made her the woman that she is.
And what
And
would be a simple first step for her?
a simple first step is getting a notebook, having a pen, and I'm a firm believer in longhand and setting a time of day that she's going to show up consistently for at least 5 minutes every day and saying, what does my heart want me to know right now?
Hmm.
And taking dictation from her soul. And if she's
Ah,
ready to have a conversation with me, I'd love to do that too.
okay. Mary's contact information is in the text of this video, y'all. So, Mary, how can our viewers find out more about you?
They can go to the website, they can find out about my programs. I have a retreat that's happening in March here in Half Moon Bay, California, where we can, not only step away from day to day. It's have more time to dedicate it to listening to what our soul wants us to know. The Soul Story Sanctuary is a weekly program where you have an opportunity to show up on Zoom to hear what your story, what your soul wants you to know. And the Written in Her Own Words, Wise Woman Wisdom co-author book, where if a solo book is something that you think is overwhelming, writing a chapter could be your first step.
And all three of those opportunities could be for women who've never written and for women who are
Absolutely,
prolific
absolutely.
writers, right?
My approach to the co-author book is that you do not get left on your own. You are held within the community, and I use my intuition and my journalism skills to help you craft the story that your soul has delivered to you, and I'm the catalyst and your coach.
Check out Mary's website for all of that information and see if it resonates with you. And if it does, reach out and she'll have a conversation with you about that. Mary, thank you for being here with me today, but also thank you for just this important work that you do. And I love how your soul gets touched every time you talk about it because it touches mine as well. So I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much.
So anyone watching, thank you for joining us in this conversation. If today's episode inspired you, moved you, or helped you see something new in yourself, I invite you to share it with someone who might need it too. And remember, your purpose is always calling you forward. Your voice matters, your story matters, and the world truly does need what only you can bring. See you next time. Something's happening with my mouse. It's not wanting to cooperate.